And that certainly affected them very much. Yamuna felt very affected by that. So it's this friendship and living side by side in close personal association, and of course the Prabhupada's female disciples, he always had them to care for him personally. That was the relationship. By cooking and looking after his clothing and his diet and health, those sort of things. And in that way, the relationship wasn't sort of so much, instruction was there for everyone, but that relationship was really based on close personal companionship. And that's how the movement, that's how our Krishna consciousness movement began. And that's mercy, that's kripa. It's all based on mercy. So this is how Sarvabhauma was changed, and by friendship and by relationship. After all, Sarvabhauma was a great impersonalist. He actually didn't believe ultimately in relationship. That's what impersonalism is. Impersonalism is to look upon the world, essentially, as that I'm the only person that matters. Because if I think God's impersonal, if that's my impression of God, that God has no personality, then that becomes that colours everything. It means I drain everything of personality. And however, I'm a person, so I become the only person, essentially. It becomes a very self-centered vision in its pure form, if there is such a thing as a pure form of impersonalism. And Prabhupada, he felt he had a special mission against impersonalism, to dispel impersonalism from the Western countries, and we sing that all the time, we recite that prayer. Namaste Saraswati Devi, my obeisances to the servant of Saraswati, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So my obeisances are to Prabhupada as the servant of his Guru. Gauravani Pracharane, he is preaching the message of Gaura, of the Golden One, Lord Chaitanya, who in the Western world, had ever heard of Lord Chaitanya. Nobody knew about Lord Chaitanya. There was a song actually, the Quintessence, this kind of transcendental rock band, they used to chant mantras, and they had a song which mystified me and my friends. It was called Jesus, Buddha, Moses, Gauranga. Did you ever come across that? And it began, the lead singer of Quintessence, I used to know his name, was gone now. Anyway, he sort of intoned, the first line was Jesus, Buddha, Moses, Gauranga. That's how it began. And then all the guitars came in and everything. And everyone was thinking, who is Gauranga? We've heard of the others, but who's Gauranga? He's obviously, an important person to be put in the same bracket as Jesus, Buddha and Moses. But nobody knew who Gauranga was. They had an Indian guru, that's how they heard of him. So nobody knew who is Gaura, who is the Golden One. Much less did they know what is Gauravani, the words of Gaura, which we recited this morning. Gauravani, most specifically, is the Shikshastakam. That is Gauravani. Lord Chaitanya didn't write books. He was quite extraordinary in that way. He just, he relied on his disciples to do all of that. He just chanted, but he did compose this poem of the Shikshastakam. So my obeisances to the servant of Saraswati, who is preaching the message of Gaura, Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarne. in the Western countries, they are filled with impersonalism and voidism. And so his mission is Paschatya Desatarine, to drive out from the Western countries, to drive out impersonalism and voidism. He felt that was a very important thing. That's why he put it in that prayer that we recite every day, all the time. Well, you know, if you want to rid the world of something, then you better start with yourself, I guess. Impersonalism, voidism. It's not just some dry concept. It is the tendency to be self-centered, essentially. Not to recognize the other person. And so it can be present in all sorts of ways. But of course, it's also a philosophy. And very often the people who might apparently appear to be impersonalists, they may not be so impersonal, they just haven't got any better information. And similarly, people who claim to be personalists may actually be quite impersonal, you know, if they don't understand the importance of relationship. That's why this is an important concept, the Tomara Sambandhi. Because of my relationship with you, I've received the mercy, kripa, of Krishna. And both these ideas are very important, that after all, it's through relationship that we understand what relationship is. Right? Through having friendship, I can understand what friendship is. And personalism, ultimately, we're seeking not to become the friend of Krishna, but to accept Krishna's friendship, most of all. If we accept Krishna's friendship, that automatically brings us in the category of friend of Krishna. Krishna has no, as he says in the Bhagavad Gita, no me dvashyoshti na priya. I do not envy anyone, I'm not partial to anyone, I have no hatred of anyone. Everyone, essentially, you know, Krishna loves, but whoever is my devotee, I'm especially open to that person, especially fond of that person. So if we take one step to Krishna, he will take 10 steps towards us. And this all begins by the mercy of a devotee. So are there any questions on that? Yes?
You was talking about the Christian leaders of the Christian saying they're very humble and meek and mild, but there are right-wing Christians who are the opposite of that, and I've been in a situation, can we fight fire with fire? Because I've been in a situation where I've been beaten black and blue just for being Hindu, just for worshipping a deity. They won't touch someone else's deity.
Sorry, you said you were beaten?
Beaten black and blue, yeah, literally for being Hindu. For following the process of Archana, for that, for following those things. And really, these right-wing Christians, they only really respect violence, it seems. They seem to respect that. So can we fight fire with fire, or do we just have to say, okay, I'll be beaten? Or can we use our body to defend ourselves? Because I've always been taught that a devotee has to always be with another devotee, because it's the other devotee that has to protect the one that's being attacked, and you're not allowed to defend yourself. Is that true?
Yeah. There are, of course, we're all different. Each of us has a different nature. And if you are threatened, if you're harmed, there's usually someone who will want to protect you. That's the nature of the Kshatriya. Wants to protect. And there are some devotees like that.